Star Wars 7x7 episode 2126. Today, we conclude our look back at how Maul came to power on Mandalore with the Lawless. This is episode 16 from season 5 of the Clone Wars. Punch it! Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod, and this is Star Wars 7x7. Thank you so much for joining me for this daily dose of Star Wars joy. And yes, we're talking about the Lawless today. This wraps up the story arc. You know, it's funny that this actually wraps it up because of the way it ends. It ends so abruptly that I feel like there was more to the story, and it's kind of implied that there's more to the story, but there's a difference between the sort of foreshadowing stop and the, oh, we're stopping right here stop, but we'll get to that. It starts off, the episode does, with the Duchess Satine in prison, and there's an attempt to break her out by, among other folks, the Death Watch dissidents, the ones who left Death Watch, led by Bo-Katan, her sister, the Duchess Satine's sister, and she says just, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, which clearly Satine and Bo-Katan have not been friends for a while, but Satine hopes that this might be the start of the rekindling of their friendship. Unfortunately, things don't go all too well. The Duchess is imprisoned again. She's captured, but not before she is able to send out a message to Obi-Wan Kenobi saying, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope." No, she doesn't actually say that, but I have to say, there was a part of me that was almost looking for it, you know? Anyway, so the message is received, but the Jedi say, there's nothing we can really do about this because Mandalore is neutral and they're not doing anything with the Separatists now, so we would need the approval of the Senate in order to get involved, and Obi-Wan says, yeah, that's probably not going to happen. Meanwhile, the puppet Prime Minister Almec lets Maul know that for a brief moment the Duchess Satine escaped, but that she has been recaptured, not before she was able to send a message to Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Maul goes, ooh, good, because that's exactly what he was hoping for. So Kenobi shows up in the Twilight, which is one of Anakin's ships, and the Twilight is really down in heels, like there are things sparking and smoking, and Obi-Wan says, this is the last time I borrow a ship from Anakin. Man, I gotta tell you, this is the wrong ship for him to have picked to show up for a rescue attempt in, and he's, you know, in disguise, undercover. This is bad thinking on his part. He really, I mean, I don't know, maybe this was the only option he had, but oh, good grief, what a bad choice. Anyway, he manages to overpower one of the Mandalorians at the loading dock and takes over that Mandalorian's armor, breaks into the prison, breaks Satine out. Bo-Katan actually is surveilling things and sees Obi-Wan show up but does nothing, lets him go, and ultimately they team up trying to get the Duchess Satine to freedom. But once again, things do not work out very well. You know what? Every once in a while, things have to go badly for our heroes, right? And so, as they're trying to escape in the Twilight, a bunch of Mandalorians shoot their rocket pack missiles at the ship, and it crashes and burns, not before Obi-Wan and Satine are able to jump clear of the explosion, but they are captured and taken to Maul's throne room, where Maul toys with Obi-Wan's emotions while levitating and choking the Duchess Satine in front of him, and he's trying to get Obi-Wan to give in to his anger, give in to his hate, go to the dark side. Of course, in between, like, gasping breaths, Satine is, like, saying, no, Obi-Wan, don't do it! And this is the line, or lines, I should say, that Obi-Wan delivers to let you and everyone know that there's no way he's going to the dark side.
You can kill me, but you will never destroy me. It takes strength to resist the dark side. Only the weak embrace it.
It is more powerful than you know.
And those who oppose it are more powerful than you'll ever be. I know where you're from. I've been to your village. I know the decision to join the dark side wasn't yours. The Night Sisters made it for you.
Silence!
And not like it was going to end well anyway, but this is the thing that pushes Maul over the brink, and he kills the Duchess Satine right in front of Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan gathers her in his arms, and the last thing she says to him is that she has always loved him and always will. And I'm just like, Obi-Wan, you fool. You should have just left the Jedi Order. Oh, man. And I'm sure Obi-Wan is thinking something similar. But he's not executed immediately, despite the fact that Savage Opress thinks that's a very good idea. And kudos to Savage, he's right. But Maul says, nah, bring him to the prison, lock him up. I want him to stew in his own misery. And so that's what happens there. Meanwhile, somehow on the dark side of the Force communication channel, Palpatine is hanging out in his office and gets a little ping and calls Masameda and says, get my shuttle. And takes off for Mandalore, arrives on Mandalore as Darth Sidious. And the timing is perfect, at least for Obi-Wan, because then he's able to get out of there and get off Mandalore with the help of Bo-Katan and the former Death Watch Mandalorians. She says, go tell the Republic what's happening here, and Obi-Wan says, but they'll occupy Mandalore. And she says, that's what has to happen, and Mandalore will survive, so don't worry about it. So that's one thing that suggests that they're coming back to Mandalore at some point in the future, but it's not the abrupt thing that I was talking about earlier. So that has to do with the rest of the story, where Sidious takes on Maul and Savage. Maul says, I did all of this for you, and Sidious says, yeah, right, and Force throws them into a wall, and there's a huge lightsaber battle. Yet again, another great lightsaber battle, this time with Maul and Savage against Darth Sidious. He proves to be overwhelming to the two of them. First, he manages to get Maul out of the fight long enough to take on Savage one-on-one and kills him, so that's the end of Savage Opress. And then he's able to best Maul one-on-one. And Maul's like, oh, have mercy, which is the wrong thing to say to Sidious in general. But in specific, he's like, there's no such thing as mercy, and starts frying him, electricity. But he does say, I'm not going to kill you. I have other uses for you. And goes some more. And that is how the episode ends. And I don't know, maybe it's a perfectly fine ending, perfect to end it right there, but it just, as I was watching it, it felt like it was a real abrupt cut for me from the, I have other uses for you, like it was just really fast for me for some reason. And I guess also then knowing that the next episode is Sabotage, which is the story that leads to Ahsoka leaving the Jedi Order, and it's the bombing of the Jedi Temple. It has nothing to do with Maul or anything like that. Maybe that's factoring into my head a little bit, but I don't think so. I think I did just, take it like at at its face value. It just seemed like it went really super quick. And as far as the Clone Wars cartoon series goes, that's the last time we see Maul before he shows up again at the very end of Old Friends Not Forgotten, episode 9 from season 7. There is one other story arc, though, that was unproduced, and we will be talking about that in due time. But for today, that is going to do it for our briefing on the Lawless. This is episode 16 from season 5 of the Clone Wars, and that's going to do it for this episode of the show as well. Thank you so much for joining me for it, as always, and may the curve be flattening for you wherever in the world you may be.
This podcast is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox. It is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other related Star Wars items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyright 2019 by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.